Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, and today I'll be building this rebox of the Alpha Jet in a brand new flashy 50th anniversary box by Revell. This kit actually includes 3 Alpha Jets. All of them are exactly the same. So before I start on the commentary, I would like to talk about one thing, and that is the fact that I've made this channel purely to show you guys my work, and I did feel like the opinion of someone a little younger would help on here because I've seen that there is a lag, and that is probably for a good reason. But unfortunately, I don't really know that reason, and so I've decided to make this video anyways. Now, with my yap out of the way, we can start getting into the real stuff right here, which is the commentary. You can see me snipping the pieces off the spruce with my beautiful sprue cutter right there. And I'm also sanding down any remaining flash from the cutting process. So hopefully that will go perfectly. Now, I decided to not fill in any seam lines because it would be more of a hassle to do that than to just leave it as is. Because this kit is a 1 to 144th scale, so they won't really be visible anyways. Because they are so small, and if they are big, then just tough luck, I guess. It's unfortunate, truly, but there's nothing you can do about it. Now, I'm still sanding down both halves of the fuselage. And as you saw in the beginning, there is really no interior to work with, so I just work with what I got right here. There is no aftermarket in this video at all, so it's just pure out of the box. And what aftermarket you even put on a kit this small? You can see me glue the middle landing gear part, or at least I think that's what it is, because it does connect with the main landing gear, and also gluing in the cockpit on the black. Well, I did not use pure black because you should never use pure black when building something because pure black is way too dark. So I just opted to use anthracite, which is a shade of black which is not that dark. And it got the job done as it was supposed to do. So I'm gluing here the fuselage halves together, and this process was easy because the kit is so small and you just require a bit of masking tape. Before we go any further, I would like you to excuse my pronunciation on some words and my accent because my first language is not English. I don't think that will be a problem. I am still learning and it is an important thing to do. So, back to the build, you can see I have glued both of the fuselage halves together and now I am working on the engines. You can see the exhaust right here. I believe that's what they are, and I will just glue them in place very easily. A bit of struggle is required since you have to get them in there. I did glue them on incorrectly on my previous Alpha Jet, so I'm trying to fix that mistake right here. So you can see me putting on the second one, but I will not bore you with it. So you can see me looking for any mistakes that I did during the gluing process. Now, the canopy. You can see the canopy is a bit thick, which is an unfortunate thing, but I guess it does the job for a 1 to 144th scale kit. I will now cut off the canopy using my sprue cutters, hopefully avoiding any damage to it because damage to a canopy is hardly fixable and sometimes it's just inevitable. Like right there, that's my mistake and I will pay for it by it not looking perfectly. Now, testing it, I've seen a mistake that I did previously when gluing the cockpit, so I went back and I fixed it. After a bit of a struggle, I managed to get it to fit properly on there, but it did come with a cost. Fortunately, it is not seeable, so that is a good thing right there. You can now see that the cockpit is on there and it is partially see-through. Tamiya's extra thin cement is a lifesaver here, and as a certain YouTuber would say it, capillary action is our best friend when using Tamiya's extras in cement. The nozzle is a two-piece sub-assembly which is very easy to put together. We just glue one part on top of the other. No painting is required here since it will not be visible anyways. I'm also using Tamiya extra thin here again. You can see that there's a bit of flash remaining, but fortunately it's not really visible. You can see me there pointing out a bit of a gap, but I did fix that after this. Gluing the second one on, there was absolutely no problem, and it was just perfect. There is actually one extra piece on the underside of the fuselage which has to be glued on there, and since this is not the German version, I do have to fill it in with some Tamiya putty, which I will do right here. The filling actually has no problem, and since it will not be visible, I can be as messy as I want with it, which I am. As you can see right here, I'm not really taking any care or precautions or any safety measures to ensure that it looks good, because there is no need to do that since it will not be visible anyways. Now, gluing that part onto the fuselage is a different story since it's not a perfect fit. I do have to pull the fuselage halves apart a bit so that it does get the perfect fit, but Tamiya's expert in cement does the job. Once again, it always does. Now, to pull the fuselage parts apart, I will be using the sprue cutters, and that does the job really easily. And now the fit is really good. Of course, there is a small gap right there, but I will not be filling that in since it is so small. It would be just a big hassle to do it. Now, continuing with the build, you can see me checking out if everything is alright. Now, the wings were just a one piece part, so no halves to glue together. Now, you can see me there doing a bit of a mistake and cutting a bit of the wing off, but that is a small mistake, so I don't really think it will be visible. Now, gluing the wings on, unfortunately, the angle is not very good, and I am truly sorry for that. But it did the job, and it was really easy to glue them on because they have really good locator pins. So everything looks beautiful. Now, with that out of the way, we can continue with the build, and I'm starting with the back wings, which are glued on very nicely. So I am sanding down because these actually have absolutely no locator pins, so you just have to glue them on straight to the model kit, which is, I believe, a good approach since this is a 1:1 to 1/44 scale kit. But one small locator pin would have been nice since it's not really clear where you have to glue them on, but the glue did the job. And it just worked perfectly. Although the left one did fall off twice during the rest of the process, but I did not film it since I did not think it was necessary. But I'm still going to share that information. So just checking if everything is aligned, and it is. Now, continuing with the build, I will be cutting off the arrestor hook and the nose cone. There are actually two nose cones, one for the German version and one for the French and the Belgian version. So gluing the arrestor hook in place, it's a very easy fit, and I had no problems during the gluing process, as you can see right there. And also the nose cone was a seamless fit, but I did have to sand down a small seam line right there so that the nose would fit on better. Now, with that out of the way, we can continue on the other section of the aircraft, and that is the landing gear. Snipping the parts of the sprues is a really easy process, and the landing gear consists of only two parts, and that is the main landing gear and the wheel. As you can see, they are not very big, so they all have a locator pin and where they have to be inserted, and that is very easy to do. There is no hassle with the landing gear, and there's also no trouble. Gluing the landing gear in place was also trouble-free, and it worked like a charm. It has a small locator pin in which you have to insert landing gear, and it just goes in there perfectly, and it's a tight fit, so you don't have to worry about it getting out. Now, continuing with the main landing gear, there was also no problems there, although they do have a small locating pin in there and where you have to insert them, and it is not very clear how you have to insert them because you don't really see anything, so you just have to pop them in there until the fit is right. As you can see right there, just pop them in there, and I checked if they are aligned with the fuselage. Welcome outside. This is where I paint my stuff with airbrush because I don't really have proper ventilation inside, and it is much safer to do so outside. So putting on some some anthracite color by Revell. Also, I did mask off the main canopy so that it doesn't get sprayed during this process. Now, I did mess this ratio up a bit, and as you can see, the paint is a little watery, so that does hurt a little in the end, but it was all good. Now, continuing with the pasting process, as you can see, the paint is on there really nicely. And as for the airbrush that I am using, it was a cheap $50 airbrush, so nothing too fancy there, but it does the job every single time, and it has never failed me once. Now putting on the base color, which is light gray, and I'm also using the Revell color. Now, as you can see, the coverage for the black is not perfect, but it does the job to create some artificial shadows right there. I will be trying to spray it in thinner layers, like there, but since the aircraft is so small, that is quite tedious to do because the paint would just go. There you can see on the wing a quite a big splotch of paint. That is because I did not properly thin down my paint and it was way thin, and that does cost me right there because I am still spraying the light gray over that very watery paint right there. So fortunately I did not touch it with my finger, so it looks decent in the end. You will see it at the end results, but it could have been quite a bit of an accident if I wouldn't have done that. Back inside for the brush painting part, I will be brush painting the camo, starting with one of the lighter colors, which is the normal gray. As you can see, I am now making the camo by hand, and this was a tedious process that you will be able to see. But the paint did go on nicely and did not leave any brush marks whatsoever. And if there are any brush marks, they are very small. The gray color is now fully painted on there, and it's time to start with the dark gray color, which is the last color that I'll be using on here except for the red. Now this color also went on smoothly and it was perfectly applied on there with a brush. I hopefully did not leave any brush marks. The camo had quite the hard edge between the colors and I tried to replicate that, but unfortunately I did not manage to do it 100%. But I do feel like it still does the job and it looks very good. Now, the wingtips are painted with a bright red color, as indicated per the instructions, and the red color was also painted on with a small brush. I am using a number 2 and a number 0 brush for this specific build, and every time you saw a brush in my hand, it was either a number 2 or number 0 brush. Now, I did mess up a little there, and I went back and I fixed it, but you will not be able to see that on camera. Now, there's not much to talk about here with the red paint, so let's get on with the exhausts. Now, I had no issue with the exhausts. I painted them in an aluminum color, as you can see right there, and it was just very easy. I also painted the landing gear with the aluminum, but you will not be able to see that. And also the gear, the wheels will be painted with a black color. Now I will be painting on the decals. The decals went on pretty smoothly, but since they are so small, they are quite a hassle to film, so I only showed you two of the decals right here, which are the Belgium roundels on the aircraft, and they went on perfectly. After applying the decals, I did apply a matte varnish with my paintbrush, and that also went on smoothly to seal in the decals. As you can see right here, I had no troubles with the decals. Now, moving on to the final photos. I think the aircraft turned out perfectly, and I think it encapsulates the Alpha Jet in 1/44 scale very well. Revell did a great job with this kit. Now, if anyone has any tips for me, please leave them in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching. Bye bye.